live once again with my main man, Scrapyard Shaun.
Yo, what's up? What's good, everyone? How are we, Mike?
I'm doing all right over here. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Sun's shining. Can't argue with that.
Oh, sun's shining over there?
For a change, man. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we have a special guest today, and we're spitballing right now. We're trying new things out. We figured maybe we'll try out a 5-10 minute type of intro, kind of catch up. I know that you guys said that you like a lot of our banter, or at least our project updates, things like that. So maybe we will kind of try to do that pre-episode. Nothing crazy, but just kind of get out some alerts, if you will, or notifications, whatever you might want to call that. So, anything new on your front, Shaun? What's going on with the car?
It's a little bit slow at the moment, man. I'm sort of in that weird stage of trying to find parts. So I'm sort of, I'm on the chase at the moment. So I've got a few things on a few auction sites, which I'm currently watching and hoping I'm going to end up buying. And I've just purchased, or I've taken advantage of the Mountney sale that's been going on at the moment, because they've got their awesome sale. So if anyone is listening and they need not just steering wheel parts, but anything for their minis, go check out their website, man. mountneyclassic.co.uk. They've currently got a nice little 10% off for their autumn sale. So if you guys use the code Mountney10, I believe it is, you can get 10% off all products. So I highly suggest you guys take advantage of it. I'm not going to say what I bought, though. I'm going to leave that as a nice little surprise.
I love my Mountney wheel. It's awesome. Feels good in the hands. And I didn't realize until, not terribly long ago, that they have like other parts, like, obviously wheels, but they have like shift knobs and lights and all sorts of kind of things too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, the quality of the products as well, even on, just going back to the steering wheels, even the quality on the steering wheels, I'm so happy with my 250mm, sort of Alcantara suede steering wheel. I'm over the moon with it. They really do, send out a really good finished quality product. So yeah.
Speaking of parts, I realized this morning, we've mentioned SoCal Classic Minis before. It's just, Facebook group. Someone joined it, and he was looking for new wheels for his Mark 1 that he just got. Nice, clean car. And I was thinking about selling my Cosmic, so I just reached out to him, and it always starts into I love that feeling of when you first get the car and he's asking questions. I just love helping. I don't claim to know everything, but the basics, of course, I know, and I love that feeling. And you can tell the excitement of him. He's about to try to get it started today, and I was like, get this oil and do this and just check this, and he's super pumped. So I'm excited to see if he gets that thing running today. I love that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that's all part of the community and the scene, really, isn't it? That's what I love about the mini scene. Everyone's so involved and everyone's there to help motivate each other. It's fantastic. I love it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the followers and listeners, can say exactly the same thing, which is why we're all, mad about the mini community, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure our guest today has, similar stories. I'm excited to have him on. Pretty big social media following. And I don't know, should we tell him who it is right now or wait for him to come on?
Oh, I reckon let's make him wait. Let's make him wait.
Well, I mean, let's be real. I'm trying to be all cool social media. Oh, stay tuned to find out. But like, all right, you already saw the headline or the title of the show, so you probably already know who it is. But I'm excited for it. Awesome Instagram page, and I'll drop it later. Again, DER_ABT_media. Go follow him. Go check it out while you listen to him chat, because it's more than just automotive photography. So I'm excited to hear about his story and kind of where he's heading next.
Oh yeah, super pumped.
Anything else you have for the people right now before we jump into this interview?
No, I think we should just jump into it and let's get cracking with it. That's what the followers and listeners are here for, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
guys, enjoy the episode. All right, I think we are live once again with our guest, Matt, aka I don't know how you actually say this. I just spell it out because I want to say Abt. Is it DERABT
That's
Media?
right.
What's how do you actually say it? What is DERABT?
All of
I'm
the
just gonna
all of
spell it
the
like
above.
you know
It's all good. All of the but it's the
R
most
E
common
S
thing that
B
I
E
get
C T.
asked. A lot of people just say
You
ABT
know.
media or whatever, but it actually originates from my to the left. Well, to your right, is it to my left? This ABT styled Mark III Golf that I built about probably 7 years ago now. So that's where all kind of the original name came from. I just stuck with it.
Yeah, I
I'd be
will.
drooling over that.
Yeah, I started kind of reading a little bit about that, and I wanted to, ask you, did it start with classic minis? But I think I read in your bio on your website that it started with that VW, right?
It started way before that. If I'm being honest, so my it's probably all down to my dad. Realistically, who's no longer with us, but he, although he wasn't really a mechanic or anything like that. He would play around with cars. We had all kinds of obscure models that would actually be worth a fortune now if you kept on them. But isn't that the case with cars, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so before I've always been a VW guy. Used to hang out with like all my friends' brothers. Used to have like Mark ones, Mark twos, mainly like naturally aspirated, all that kind of stuff. Few turbos in there. But actually, I first started with Japanese cars, so I had car histories like a minefield. But my first build was a Nissan Pulsar GTIR, which is like a mini Skyline,
Very
which
cool.
was built to about 450 brake. Then we went into before it was a
Wow.
thing, the drift scene. So I had a 200 SX, same engine, full mongoose, straight through exhaust. Built that to 280 to begin with. Then it went to 350 brake, and then I kind of like had a bit of a holiday from anything, building anything, and then I got by chance got a 8 valve version of this, which kind of set the scene just to play around in, and then this was always the thing that I wanted to build, bit of a homage to like the 90s. My friends' brothers, they always had cool VWs. So this is where this kind of started out. And classic mini ownership's only really come around in the last 2 years by default. But we'll get into that in a bit.
Um, Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I started reading your kind of bio, like I said, and yeah, it seemed like you've been a car guy since like you mentioned your father helping him kind of tinker on the cars, and then I think I read that it kind of escalated quickly once you did the VW build, and then you started kind of building a bunch of other cars. And how did you roll into classic minis? Is it something that you kind of always had your eye on, maybe, or you grew up with seeing them around, or what?
No, no, not at all. So my dad bought this mini that I've got now. He bought it in 1997. And
Oh
he
wow.
came into him and my mum came into a little bit of money by default, through like relatives passing, etc. My dad always wanted one of three things if he ever came into any money. First was mini. Second was like a narrow boat, so like a
As it should
long
be.
houseboat, as it should be. And then the third,
Yeah.
he also
Yeah.
fancied like a BMW 5 Series, but he opted for this. Now, in 1997, younger
Smart.
Matt was far too cool for one of these. So I remember he bought it. He turned up at home with it, And he was like, look what I bought. And I was like, no. No, you are not taking me anywhere in that car. Like football, no. College, no. Just no. And that's kind of, that was it. And he very rarely drove it. It was a homage to his youth. He had, pre me and my sister being born, he had like a number of minis, and then obviously with having 2 kids, he had to sell up, and it broke his heart. And it's the one car he always wanted to go back to, but never could because there was always me and my sister around. So as soon as we were like of age and he got his life back, this was his dream, and he locked this away for years, and he only ever drove it like a Sunday afternoon a month. So much so that it's only just clocked 10,000 miles.
Whoa!
Oh,
That's
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really
It's-
clean, and I had no idea. Wow.
yeah. It's literally fully original. It's only just done 10,000 miles. I started looking. To be fair, there have been times when I forgot he got it. I completely forgot he had it. Because obviously life goes on. You move away, and you do your own thing, and then you come back, and occasionally you break out the mini. I'll be like, so you still got that thing. I think around about 8 years ago, somebody offered him about £10,000 to import it to Japan, which is obviously big scene, right, in Japan. And he said no.
huge mini scene in Japan.
Yeah. But he started getting sick around probably about 2.5 years ago now. And he called me on the phone and said, Matt, I want to ask you something. So I was like, okay, I don't know where this is going. And he said, so my mini, he said, I want you to look after it for me. I want you to, I'm getting to the stage where I can't drive it, and I want you to look after it for me. It hadn't been fired up for like properly for 2 years prior to that as well. That's how much he didn't drive it. So obviously with his health deteriorating, I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll do whatever you want me to do with it. So I popped back after work one night and thought, right, let's have a little look at it, see if I can get it fired up. Got it fired up. Actually recorded TikTok of me doing that, of like literally getting the batteries sorted, getting it running, pulling it out, and I think it had like 8,100 miles on the clock. It's on the video on a TikTok channel, and it fired
Wow.
up well. It had a little bit of an auxiliary belt issue, a little bit of squeaking, which you can again hear in the video, but backed it out. But it's like a time capsule basically. And then my dad managed to walk out from the house, make it round to the backyard, and have a little sit in it. And if you notice at the end, he drives it into the garage, and that's the last time he ever drove it. So for the first year, it was a case of just looking after it, making sure it was serviced, MOT'd, giving it the odd clean. Actually, well, we'll get onto that story in a bit, but I actually stole it out of the garage to redo the paintwork, which he didn't know until his birthday when we revealed it, but we can talk about that in a bit. But yeah, and then probably a year ago, he called me and said, like, why don't you come over after work? And went round and he said, right. So what you're like, clapped his hands together, proper old fashioned guy, like, what are you going to do with the mini? And I said, absolutely nothing. It's beautiful as it is. The time capsule, like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. There's not an ounce of rust. It's just perfect. And he was like, no. This isn't you. I've known you all your life. I know I've seen you build every car you've ever built, and everything. He said, right. I said, no. This is like what are you going to do? So there was a little bit of going backwards and forwards, and I was adamant I'm not going to do anything. And he said, all right. I said, look, forget like, take me out of the picture. This is yours. You've been given it. What would you do? So my first, which he was probably expecting this, was, well, for a start, I'd take that engine out and put like a K-swap engine in it with a big turbo on, and he was like, no, not that.
No. Anything but that.
Anything but that. But so it was a bit of a joke. He was like, no, seriously, what would you do? And I said, well, to be honest, the coolest looking minis, I'd lower it, it'd have proper nice wheels on it, and I quite like some of the like the racing minis that I've seen over the years. They always catch my eye at shows when I'm doing photography and all that kind of stuff. And within about 2 or 3 days, I started getting messages through. Ping, WhatsApp, ping, Facebook, ping. And it was my dad tagging me in all these pictures, and just like literally was lying there really ill, but on his phone researching minis and just showing me what he'd like. And then I went round one night, so he used to pop in after work and just check he was okay, his health, etc. And I went round and he said, right. He said, got his phone up and he went, this. Can you build me this? And I just looked at him and he went, you know you can build me this, so I want this. And it was a Stamped Works picture. I think it was like a Britax Mini, but I can't remember. I've got it on my phone, but it was one of the Stamped Work ones that had appeared on their site. And he was literally like, this is what I want. Like, I don't want you to compromise. This is it. So he started formulating a plan, but unfortunately, nothing happened between then, apart from a couple of minor bits before he passed away earlier in the year. But the plan remains the same. So I've got everything written down that we discussed, every picture that he sent, every idea that went backwards and forwards. And this is just a start for this little thing.
This is why I love this podcast, is because you see this car online and you see your profile and you clearly know it's a clean Mini. It's a, cool build or a start of a cool build. But the damn story that you just told, like, if that tugs on heartstrings, that is amazing to hear. And I even more so want to, not that I didn't want to follow you before, more so want to follow you to see you bring this to life for your father. I mean, shoot, I can't wait to hear kind of what his plans were to finish it and see what you're going to do if you're going to share that. But man,
yeah,
what a cool story.
It's an open door. We'll share all that.
Yeah, man, that is amazing. I love it. That's I was just kind of locked in listening to that one. That's man, wow. Yeah. So do tell. I mean, what have you done so far to it? I know that you said it was pretty much a time capsule. It was pretty clean. I see obviously some wheels and a few little bits that look like it's been changed. But what's the plan and what have you done so far to it?
Sure. Well, I was actually writing a list yesterday. We had a cousin's birthday party. Look, got a 4-year-old. I keep nearly saying 3. She's 4. Got a 4-year-old as well as the other kids. Don't forget them. But we went to a party, and actually now she's grown up a little bit. Find myself with a little bit of time, which is not that common when they're small. So I started writing a list of everything that I'd done to it, and by the end of it, like I was just scrolling down and down and down. You until you sit down and think about it, you don't know how much time and effort has gone into what you build. To summarise, and I can't use my phone because it's being used for this, but I've got that list, but I've kind of memorised most of it. But if we start from suspension, fully uprated suspension, so high-lows but with adjustable shocks. That was the starting bit that needed to happen. I could not handle the drive height. I'm used to pushing a button and dropping the air down, or riding really hard with just arches scraping away, and that's kind of like my history with cars. It's summarised in like 2 seconds. So fully uprated suspension, chrome end. So this car did not look like this when my dad bought it. It had because it was one of the later minis. It had like black grille, black bumpers, everything was black. So I did a few bits like the light surrounds and the grille for him years ago when I persuaded him to take it to its one and only show that it went to under his ownership. So first and foremost was the suspension, then there was a full chrome front end, so wipers, jets, surrounds. I love clear lights. I'm like a bit obsessed with clear lights. You'll see that if anybody scrolls through and sees all my builds from previous and can spend 7 hours on Instagram, you will see there's an ongoing. There we go. It's got to be done.
Is this a fetish for you? New old stock Lucas clear lights?
Absolutely. So we had the full chrome front end. I bought some tails that I thought were going to be really awesome, and I can't remember. Dual tail lights. Have you ever had any experience with those?
No, I've seen them around though. They're like the more rounded rear lights, aren't they, compared to the square ones?
Yeah. Don't do it. Honestly, if anybody's watching this and thinks I want a set of jewels on my Mini, don't do it. I bought 3 sets, and I broke every single one of them because the fittings. It doesn't take a lot to over tighten, and these things are like quite expensive. Like, so 3 sets I went through before I was like, I can't do this. So I managed to find some others by doing lots of research that worked perfectly. Then came the wheels. The wheels have got to be like the number one priority. I wanted, just as a homage really, and just to accelerate the build, the wheels had to be rare. There had to be the right fitment. I played around with 10s, 12s. I knew I was never going to go 13s, but there's obviously a huge debate. You type that into the internet and like any forum, it's savage. Like it is.
Oh yeah. That's why it's a Patty Probe question.
Absolutely, but I decided that I didn't really want, because it's got AP brakes on it, it's standard, and they're easy refurbish, and you can paint them, and there's a whole argument for keeping 12s. So I was scratching around. I had a few ideas, and then I decided on SSRs, and I was looking at a new set. I've got a friend that works for Driftworks in the UK. They were sending me all pictures of specs of SSRs. So I worked out the spec. I worked out absolutely everything. I was thinking, right, these are the ones. And then I stumbled across these, and these were off. I think they were bolted onto an Austin, like a 1950s Austin.
Oh wow!
And I looked at them, and I was like, these could work. These could really work. And I sent it to like a friendship group of mine that we're all into cars. We all go to shows together and stuff. And I got immediate like, don't do it. These are horrendous wheels. These are awful. They're not going to work. Don't do it. But when somebody tells you not to do something.
Yep.
Every time.
When somebody tells me that I can't do something or not to do something, it makes me want to do it even more. It makes me want to prove that I was right in my thought process. So I'd ordered them. They turned up. They're a bit rough looking, but I thought, right, I already knew the vision before they landed. So the vision was replace the hardware. It had to be gold hardware, even though I know that the whole car is like chrome white, but had to be gold. And then sensors, I'm still trying to source because it's although SSR Mark 1s aren't necessarily ultra rare wheels, they made a handful of sets for the Mini. So actually hunting those down in the perfect mini fitment is difficult, but that's what these are. So it's
I'm
a little bit
kicking
worse
myself
on
to
them.
this
I've actually
day.
got flat.
Somebody offered me a set of those wheels. I think they were 10s actually, but for free, and I was like, they're kind of ugly, nah. And now that I've seen them like several times, like cleaned up and sparkling, I'm like, God dang it! Like those are sick.
Yeah, they just work with the look, but there's a few bits that need replacing. Like I've got a flat on the right hand side, which is why I set up on the left hand side. Not that you'd be able to see it, but so they need a valve replacing. I've rebuilt it about 3 times and it's failed. It's actually worse now than when I began, so I'm just going to order a new valve. So that's wheels. We then went for a clear, so debadge the back. I love it, like it's got to be smooth at the back. I'm not a massive fan of car badges. Like you shouldn't need a badge to tell you what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? Maybe that's just me, and also if you don't know what it is, then you'd ask the question, right? When I'm doing the photography things, if I don't know what something is, I'll research it. I'll absolutely research what that is.
That's it. Or if the owner's nearby, just a simple ask and a conversation. That's it. 100%.
Exactly, and that's the way I see it. So maybe it's good to hear that it's not just me that thinks that way. But yeah.
But I think that's the definition of a true petrol head will want to find out, whereas somebody who's just at a car show for the sake of being at a car show, you know.
Yeah. Debadged the rear, and I didn't want to smooth like anything out of the rear, so I wanted to keep the plate recessed but make it super clean. And I was at a show in Belgium earlier in the year, and I came across this system called Frame Off CH, and it is literally set of super soft magnets that you can get to mount to plastic or metal, and you follow the setup, and basically it makes everything completely smooth. So you notice on some of the pictures you'll see no rear plate because it just detaches off, and it's super strong as well, so it'll never come off driving. So that's the outside. Get to the interior, and we've got some custom bits in there. So we've got Nardi gear knob, which on an automatic I thought might look a bit weird, but it looks really good because it's an auto. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Makes like it more rare than not. When I started looking at mini parts, I got quite taken aback with how good the Stevenson Motor Company guys are in Canada.
Oh yeah.
And I was
we were just talking about that. Yeah, we were just talking about that.
There we go.
Honestly, for the listeners, I'm literally wearing the Stevenson Motor Co t-shirt right now.
Yeah. So when I was looking for parts, the steering wheel was a must. Beautiful steering wheel, honestly. The acrylic sun visors. Oh,
yeah,
so nice. What color do you have?
Did you go for?
They are dark bronze.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Good choice.
They just came out with that BRG one. I was like, I need that for my car. They're so cool.
I saw that drop the other night, but yeah, it had to be dark bronze because it'll work with the rest of the interior that's underway. So that we had the cup holders, the 3D printed cup holders that bolt to the seat subframes.
Yeah.
That's a game changer right there. That is a proper game changer.
I've heard nothing but good things from all their products. I have some of their shirts and stuff like that, but there's a lot of stuff on my wish list for sure from them.
Yeah, they're just insane. And then the aluminium pedal covers as well. Even though they come in a set of 3, they don't necessarily make them for the auto. It's like they've got to have it. So had a little budget, ordered the parts. Was like, right, that's the interior done to that stage. There's various bits to come, so it's having a full bespoke retrim with tweed inserts.
Nice.
I'd originally thought of a couple of colours to work, But actually, my friend who's carrying out the work for me, that actually works for Recaro, we had a chat, and we actually think it might be better trying to keep within the colours that are already here, because it works really well. I mean, the interior is so clean. It's never had anything spilt on it. It's like it's just come out of a showroom. It's insane. So there is an argument for keeping it, but that's not me. Like my dad said way back in December last year, October last year, that's not me. So that's not happening. It's got the original tape decking as well, the Blaupunk tape deck.
Shit,
It's
that's sick.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Does this work?
And then I think, yeah, it works. It works well. I can't remember it working that well back in the day. And do you know what? When I started driving it and saying I'm going to take it to shows, I thought we've moved on since like tape decks and CDs and like even MP3s. Like they're not a thing anymore. Like if I mention them to my kids now, they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" So I had to think, and I was like, do you know what? At my parents' house, although my bedroom's full of just everything now known to mankind that's been collected over years, I was thinking, I know there's definitely some drawers that have been like wrapped in shrink wrap and just maintained. And I thought, in one of those drawers, there's some cassettes. I know it. I know they're in there. So I went back and I raided my old bedroom, and lo and behold, I opened this drawer and it was like this ray of light, like full of like stuff from when I was like 17, 18, 16, even probably stuff from when I was 14. I've always been like a massive hip hop head, huge. Like back in the day, I used to have like decks and like pre-decks we were mixing on tapes, all that kind of stuff. So there was some like mixtapes that I'd made. There was some like proper ones like Fushnikins, if that's how you pronounce it, I can't remember. Shaun AG. So they were straight in the mini, and I was thinking this is either going to make me look really cool because I'm getting on a bit, or it's going to make me look a complete dick. But actually,
really cool.
Yeah. Whenever I'm rocking up and this is blasting out, people are like, "Yeah." So I leave them on the dashboard.
Yes.
I literally leave them on the dashboard next to, like the little, because it's not got a full dash in it, being a later model. It's got like that half dash.
The shelf, haven't you?
So I leave them on there, and people take photos of them, and like, because it's just like a time capsule, isn't it? So,
mate, the scene points
it does it. Yeah,
no,
it worked. Do you know what? The very first show I took it to, I thought, I wonder if I could, because obviously, like, Stranger Things was kicking off, wasn't it? Like, again, like season 3. And I was like, I wonder if I could get a Kate Bush tape to put in there.
Yeah.
So I looked on eBay. And they were like £80, like 80 quid each. No, we'll just stick with it.
Yeah, we'll stick with your mixtapes from high school.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's interior. Now, when we come to the engine, there was only one way this was going to go, and I'll tell you about the conversation I had with the stockist of the exhaust system. So the plan was always to try and squeeze as much power out of it as I can. Now it's an auto, but it's a 1275 A plus series auto, right? They're not that common, especially not in this condition in the UK.
No.
Which was why somebody offered my dad like £10,000 like 10 years ago to try and export it to Japan. So I always wanted to squeeze a bit more power. Once again, you type that into any forum and you get instant hate. You can't do it. It won't work. It'll ruin your gearbox. So remember the argument I was saying about when somebody tells me I can't do something.
We'll figure it out.
That's it.
Yeah. we'll figure that one out. And that's the stage we're getting to at the moment. So the HIF 38 is gone and been replaced by a custom rebuilt 44 off my friend Chris Den's Mini. Do you know Chris?
Shaun? I know that I've been following him for a long time, and he was one of the first ones I reached out to when I started this. And he's busy at the moment, but I've watched that Mini go through so many iterations, and I want to hear about it so bad. And I think he's the first one that did that Lego head, and then now it's kind of super popular
everywhere now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a great idea. When I saw that, I was like, that's a fantastic idea. So that's his carb, yeah?
Yeah, so you may have seen that post that I dropped like a few days ago. So when I was speaking to Chris at a show in September, we'd been meaning to have a catch-up for it because we've known each other for a few years. So he was quite happy when I got a Mini. He was like, yes, you've finally seen the light. This is the way forward. Turbo stuff is so last year. Like, let's do this. So we had a conversation, and it came to like what the plan was, and he was like, you know what? My old Lego head, the original one that I had rebuilt, is just sat there doing nothing. Like, and he just looked at me and he raised his eyebrows, like, and I was like, "What? Okay, I can see where this conversation's going." He was like, "You interested in it? Like, we can come to some sort of agreement." And so I was like, "What? You don't say no to stuff like that, do you? Because it's it's an iconic piece of Mini history in the UK, right? Because he was the first one to do it. So we hatched a plan. I got it. It's now fitted on. It took a little bit of work to get on here, just due to the auto. We didn't really want to mess around with the manifold too much, where the kick down lever is for the gears, because that's the common thing when you try and modify an auto. You've got to work around that kick down. So people bend it, and it obviously, if you bend anything, it weakens it. So, and I didn't want that. So we managed to make it work with the manifold that I bolted onto the 38. So that's all. I've made a custom air intake mounted from the grill all the way around, so it hits that air straight to the back of the engine. We've heat wrapped the back of the engine as well. So that's try and keep that temperature down as much as possible, so optimum performance. And so the exhaust, right? I said there was only one way this was going to go. So a bit like Clear Tails, the exhaust on any car that I build has got to be like perfect, and there's a certain criteria that I have for this kind of stuff. So let me take you back to the sales pitch. So I pretty much figured out what I wanted, which ironically was in no package offered whatsoever. So I rang one of the guys, the Mini specialists in the UK, and said, right, so this is where I'm at. This is what I want, and this is what I want to make happen. And they were like, okay. So we'd figured out all the components, the downpipe, the manifold, everything like that. Said, right, so what are you thinking? Like left exit, right exit, straight light, just single pipe. Right, no, I want a twin DTM.
I haven't seen twin DTM since.
They were literally like, yeah, exactly. So I knew what that would do to this car, and I knew that tone that I wanted, and I knew it hit that tone. And the guys were like, well, we do one, but it's loud. and what you tend to find is when you drive it, it gets louder and it drones. And the sales guy was literally just
trying to talk you out of it.
Absolutely, but what he inadvertently was doing was like playing to my
yeah.
Don't even go any further. Mate. You've already sold it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a centre mounted twin DTM, which absolutely makes that back end, and it hits all those notes. It sounds beautiful. I can still hear the stereo while I'm driving, even though it's straight pipes all the way through, heat wrapped, absolutely everything. that's probably because I cranked the stereo up to its top.
So what have you got? Have you got 6x9s
It's
in there
everything
then?
that I wanted. No, they're standard, factory standards.
Oh, jeez. And you can still hear that over
But
the exhaust.
it was all Blaupunk though, wasn't it? So in the like early 90s to mid 90s, that was because we kind of went through stages in the UK, didn't we? We went like Alpine, Blaupunkt, Alpine, Sony. You
Bose.
can tell I built a lot of cars over the past.
That's it.
Bose, a number of them. So it actually sounds really good. But yeah, it's spot on. And then there's a few other bits. So I've changed a few of the components. Obviously, serviced it. There's a lot to do under the bonnet, but it's getting to where I want to be. But most importantly, now that it's fully tuned, it's hitting all 75 brake horsepower, which, as we know in a Mini, doesn't sound a lot, but when you're in it, it's nice.
Perky.
It's rowdy, yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was saying. Episode that comes out tomorrow, so it'll be out by the time you guys hear this. I can't imagine having more than what I currently have with my 1275, but these guys are doing, these crazy Honda swaps. Like, I can't. That's terrifying.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I love this story, man, and I love your enthusiasm behind it, and I love your style that you're producing on these, and that's, I feel like the fun part about Minis is it's such a quirky little British looking car, but when you start throwing these SSRs at it, the clear tails, it gives it this like cool look, and then on top of it, your photography, your videography, your style, it just, man, it works so good. It just gives it this presence. And from now that I'm, listening to you, I think that's kind of what you were after for sure.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, there's some more bits to come as well. So it'll have like a color-coded cage as well.
Ooh.
Potentially looking at another wiper blade setup, which I've been eyeing up for a while. But I kind of maybe want to make my own custom set. And then a few other niche like JDM bits as well. That are apparently no longer available. But we'll see.
It's all about the hunt.
You'll be sitting on Yahoo auctions for Japan. I'm just trying to find that. Oh man, I love that.
That's where we're at.
I love that, man. That's awesome, and it's paying great respect to your father, and I think he would be proud of it. It's clean, it's beautiful, and man, something else about this podcast too is I always joke about I'm a purist, but I'm not necessarily a purist, but I like that look. But that's something that this podcast has kind of brought out in me is these other styles that when I first got my Mini, I would have never looked twice at or gone down that road. And now I'm like, damn, I want to build something that looks like this. It like opens you up to. It's interesting how your style kind of changes. I remember when I was really little, and you mentioned like Stance Works, not little, but younger in my car age when I first started driving. Stance Works, there was this other kind of, I don't know if it was a spin-off, but I feel like a lot of Stance Works guys were on it. It was called like Motoring Underground, and it was a lot of like stanced Minis and BMWs. Yep. And they all had like kind of like those BBS stretched tires and like meshies, and I was like, man, I don't think those really look that good. And then I'm like, and then as I've gotten older, I was like, what was I thinking? Like, those are so cool. Like,
but that's right, and that's the thing. So I've been involved with photography and just this last like year or so videography for cars for probably about 8-9 years now. Maybe not that much, maybe 7, but certainly being like building cars and going to shows and dipping in and out of like meets and things like that. what you find is that there's always going to be innovation in whatever field of cars you're interested in, whatever makes. So that's cool. But there's always a full circle approach when it comes to like all the retro bits. So the Mark III, when I first started building this, nobody knew what ABT parts were, or Abt, or however you want to pronounce it. Somebody's going to pull me up on that at some point. Nobody knew what they were. And the hatred I got for bolting on that mid-wing was unbelievable. It was like, what are you doing? You're ruining it. It's horrendous. It's just like, we don't know why they produce, like all that kind of stuff. But when this thing eventually dropped in PVW mag, Performance VW mag, it went off. Like, what is this style? What is this kit?
Right.
Where can you get it? Like, the most common question is, what splitter is that? Well, it's an ABT splitter. Like, I get asked all the time. And they're like, well, it can't be original, but it is original because it like took me 11 years to find all the parts on this.
Yeah.
And it's
funny.
Full circle.
It is full circle, and it's also too kind of like what you were saying before. Somebody says it's stupid or ugly or can't be done, and you find a way to make it cool. You know, that's what I think is interesting. You know, one of the first questions I always got on my car is, when are you going to paint it? Why aren't you painting it? Like, why do I need to paint it? It looks fucking cool. What are you talking about? Like, you know, like, but it's
you can get bumper stickers that say that now, right? That say,
no,
I'm not going to
I'm not painting it. Yeah, I'm not painting it. Yeah. Yeah. Although I did want to paint it when I first got it, but then I was like, nah, fuck it. Like, let's just roll with it.
Oh, come on. We've all rattle canned some parts on a car at some point, haven't we?
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm not denying there's rattle can paint on. I'm not denying. So
like
Matt, when did
a rightful passage through the car journey, isn't it? You've got to sticker bomb something. You've got to rattle can something.
Yeah. What was the other stuff that was super popular? Like the peel rubber paint. What was that?
Oh, the plastic dip stuff.
Plastic dip.
Never done that.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
What?
No.
Yeah, you haven't plastic dip. You got to go plastic dip something now. It's quite fun.
Is it crackle black? Crackle black paint was a thing back in the day.
I'm still on some of that wrinkle black stuff.
Yeah.
It worked. My dash, if you look at my center binnacle dash, I put that wrinkle black. It looks pretty nice. So
I'll be honest, I'm still
all this stuff works. I'm hoping sticker bomb
comes back. Yeah.
I'm still stuck in the 80s with fluffy dashboards, you know.
Yeah. Shaun still's got freaking fluffy dice.
Sticker bombs, fluffy dashboards, and tie dye need to stay.
I love it. So Matt, when did you start photography? Have you been doing that for a long time, and was it always automotive photography?
Yeah, so I've dipped in and out of photography for some years. So when I started properly attending shows with the old Mark III 8 valve, that kind of reignited my love for any kind of photography. I'd always played around with little cameras, and my mum and my dad used to let me and my sister just let loose on the old like Kodak like film cameras and stuff like that. So there's loads of weird photos in the past of like my action man doll set up, like me doing like a film setup and all kinds of random stuff like you do when you're like 8 or 9, right?
I mean, I still do that now, right?
But yeah, do you still do that now? It's a safe environment. Can admit it. But yeah, so I went to a show, and then all of a sudden somebody sent me a picture that I'd taken of the old banded steel roof wrapped Mark III, and it kind of made me think that's pretty cool. So yeah, so back in the day, young Matt getting a disposable camera, taking weird pictures of his toys, like in like battle scenes. That was the start. We've all been there. And
Something like that.
well, maybe not. But we'd I've been to a show in the old Mark III Golf, and somebody had sent me a photo they'd taken with it, and I was asking why, because it was there might have been an element of sticker bombing back in the day. It was on banded steel. It had a roof rack on. It didn't look that cool to me, but for some reason, somebody thought it was quite cool and took this shot that kind of blew me away. And I thought, I quite like that. Quite like that feeling of somebody taking a picture of your car, because it's important, right? It's a nice feeling to have. So I was saying that
Yeah.
the backstory to this is my uncle's a professional wildlife photographer at the top of his game, and has been for years, and he's shot all kinds of different
Oh wow.
photos and won awards and all kinds of different things. And he's been trying to make me pick up a camera for years. And so I called him after this show and was like, Uncle, like this is what I want to do. And he was like, right, so that's fine, leave it to me. I've got I've got a spare camera, I've got this. He ended up buying me an old Canon PowerShot and saying, right, before we go any further, like I remember it was like, come and pick me up and we'll drive out and we'll get like your car, which was my work car at the time. I was like, I'll show you some angles. So he took some angles, showed me, and was like, right, go ahead, go on your journey. And I remember looking at those angles and thinking, that's not how I see it. I don't see it that way. And so I quickly learned that whenever you're producing something, or you are, so it be a video, a reel, some photography, an event, a personal shoot, you want to try and get all the details that people don't necessarily always see, because that's important. And that's what's important to me as an owner and a car builder. That's also important when you're at events and people say, wow, that's an insane shot. Like, I never even thought of that angle, but that is literally, if I try to explain to people what my car is, then I'll just pull out that image and just say that's what I'm explaining. So it's been a journey. So it's probably been 8 or 9 years actually along this journey, but it's only the last 2, which all started from COVID, where I've thought to myself, this is actually working. We can take this up a notch, and it's not the day job, but there's a lot of requests coming. There's a lot coming down the line from it currently, and there's plans to move that forward as well. But I think with anything, once you start exploring your passions, it's like car building. You take a natural rate of progression. For me, right now,
it always follows on to other ideas.
There's a lot of options. Yeah, there are a lot of options, but I love it. I love capturing moments. I love shooting cars, anything automotive related. I like finding those unique angles, and I just like the reaction. The show that I did to earlier on when I went to Belgium in the year. I wasn't due to go. My dad had passed away, and I was in a bit of a real hit or low spots, don't we? And I wasn't really feeling anything. And my wife turned around to me when I said, "Like, the guys are going to Belgium." She was like, "You should totally do this." It's been really rough, like the past 6 months. There's another backstory to that, but something else had happened previously to me losing my dad. And she said, this could be great. This could be really good for you. Just take some time out, go with the boys, have some fun, you know, enjoy embrace some different cultures, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I went over with an open mindset, went over to have a good time. We had a little bit of a laugh on the journey. You always have those car journeys are essential to go to anywhere with your friends, right? That's just the best memories.
Definitely.
So we had some really good memories on the way there.
All about the adventure.
Yeah, definitely. And so we rolled into, we drove through the night. We drove all the way through the night, crossed over, got to this show, setup day, the day before the setup, for about 10 a.m. So drove all through the night. Nobody had any sleep. Got there, and one of our friends who knows the organizer was like, you know, they were all talking, and there was some cars set up for a shoot with their photographer that shoots their shows, and I was just naturally just relaxing, and I thought I'll get out the camera, like maybe take a few shots of our cars that have just rolled up, or just something for like nostalgia purposes. The boys love it when I get the camera out and we do some shots of whatever it is we're doing. That's you know, they're the family, right? They're the extended family, so it should always be that way. We always help each other out. I'm the camera guy. We've all got our roles. I'm the camera guy / dad of the group. We've all got our roles.
Yeah.
And their photographer came up to me with a guy called Hans that runs the Lalo show, and Hans said, "Oh, hi," and he pulled up my Instagram and he said, "You're this." And I said,
"That's always a nice feeling."
Yeah, that's me. And then he went, "You're famous," and I was like, "I'm not famous. I'm anything but famous. Like that is not how I've ever been described in my life." Apart from this one time in a club when I was about 17, when I got mistaken for like some kind of pop star, but like that's just like one of those things. But anyway, that's that. So I played it down and I said, no, I'm not famous. And he was like, well, so he said, so this is our photographer. He can't really speak very good English. I said, oh, that's cool. What language does he speak? He said, oh, he speaks French. I said, oh, okay, cool. So it's broken English, but French. I said, well, that's good because I can speak broken French and English. So I'm sure we can figure this out. Anyway, long story short, he wanted me to take photos for their sponsor. So their sponsor was Red Bull. And he wanted me to do these photographs. I ended up shooting quite a bit of content on the setup day and then in the show itself, so much so that they paid for us to get in, they gave us complimentary food and drink and all that kind of stuff. It was really nice. But so that was the first. That's a great reason. That's a great thing you get back out of it. That respect of like, oh my god, this is you. Like it's great that you're here. There's an element of could you do something for us? Absolutely. I'm not a guy that says no. Like I generally believe you shouldn't be that way. If somebody asks for help, you should help them if you're in a position to do so.
100%.
At the show, the amount of people saying that I was in Belgium, like it's blatantly obvious I was English because I was the only person that had my shorts on. We were the only guys that had our shorts on, so everybody could spot us a mile off. It only just reached like the highs of like 20 degrees there. So for us, we were like, it was like 11 degrees back here. So let's get the shorts on. But everybody that came up to me was so appreciative of the fact that I was there, the fact that I got the camera out, the fact that I was going to produce some imagery. And it like a whole 2-day trip was just incredible. Just purely because of people coming up to you saying, oh my God, like, we followed you for ages. This is, I remember when you took shots of my car when you came over to the UK 4 years ago, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. follow your passion and see where the doors open and take you. It's fantastic.
Definitely.
Incredible
Definitely.
stories, dude. Man, like, again, man, that's why I love like just asking about the stories, because it's interesting how it kind of where it leads you to. You know, I mean, maybe we'll get
Would
like,
you-
I don't know, I just took some pictures and I you know, my Instagram grew. But you know, there's always something behind it. It's very cool.
But do you want to know a secret? I'll tell you a secret that not many people know. So a lot of people think that photography, the world of photography is all about the equipment, and when anybody's shooting on like the latest Sony camera and the latest like £6,000 lens and all that kind of stuff. I have never bought a new camera in my life, and I would never. The cameras that I shoot on now are old cameras. Yeah, they're digital, they're DSLRs, so that's fine, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've got some film cameras that I need to re-explore with at some point, but everything that I buy is always secondhand. Right, it's always pre-used. It's always in a fairly good condition. Or I've bought a few beat-up ones that I've kind of repaired, and the glass that I invest in is always secondhand as well. Like I'll not conform to buying the latest camera and shooting the latest like 4K video and stuff like that. That's not me. It's not my style, and it never will be. So
Fair play, and it obviously works.
Yeah, it works, and I love that though, because that's how I am too. It's like, all right, if I have to buy something new, then I will. But like, I'm looking for a camera right now because I don't know if you listened to the previous episode, Grainy Day. Amanda shoots film, and awesome. She's really good at it. So I got a bug up my ass to go find a film camera. So I'm looking, you know, scouring the internet. I'm like, oh, I don't even know. I'm sure I could buy a new film camera. What, you know. I'm sure they make them out there, and they're probably way too expensive for me, but I'm looking.
Well, this one's controversial, but if you want a really good film camera, if you look for a Zenit, Zenit, it's a Russian camera, but it's insane.
I have heard that.
With a Helios
I have heard of that one.
44 lens, incredible.
That's what you got to do, Mike.
I'll put it on my list. No, but it's great. You know,
really
it's like
cheap.
just
really
because
cheap.
You know you can't see. That's what I like. I'm a cheapskate. I love cheap shit. Cheap but good.
That's the way to go.
It is. Matt, I appreciate sharing the stories, and I think you've listened to a couple podcasts. We do something on here called the Patty Probe, and it's a set of some maybe controversial mini questions that we like to ask. You down for it?
I'm always down for that. Yeah, let's go. I'm new at mini ownership though, so I might not be able to answer all of them. If you can give me like a 50-50,
I think you've already hinted at some.
Oh,
unfortunately,
so what's your favorite mini variant?
So for me, it's got to be a Cooper. It's got to be a Cooper. I think that's the dream for most mini owners, right? Obviously, this isn't a Cooper, but they've just got that extra little something, haven't they? Just got that extra little something. Cooper S.
Yep.
And that their levels are up there, aren't they? Especially like the old
top tier, isn't
ones. It? Beautiful.
For sure.
Beautiful machines.
For
Beautiful.
Sure. 10-inch, 12-inch, or 13-inch?
12s for me. 12s.
Oh,
yes, let's go with the 12s.
Dang.
It took me a long time
Honestly,
to come to that
if I
conclusion,
couldn't
but
do,
it's, yeah.
it works. No, if I couldn't do 10s, I would do 12s. 12s look, 13s. It depends on what kind of car you know. If you need the 13s for tire or something like that, but 12s have a good look to them.
They do.
Yeah, I think
They
so.
really do.
And I know you're newer to minis, like you said, but it seems like you've done a deep dive and you're kind of immersed yourself into the world of mini. So I'm curious of your answer. You've had some great answers and stories so far. So if you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea with one mini celeb, who would it be?
It's a good one. That is a good one, really. I don't know whether this classes as a mini celeb or not, but something that keeps catching my eye whenever I'm browsing social media is the Paul Smith mini. You know, the full chrome one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think I've got a lot of questions around that. I would like to see like the designs, whether that was exactly as it came out, as he intended. I think there's a lot. I knew about Paul Smith minis before that, but that particular one is insane.
It's gorgeous.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Well, Matt, I appreciate you being on, man. Like I said, amazing stories. Everyone go follow him. D as in dog, ER_A, B as in boy, T as in Tom _media on Instagram. You'll find him. You probably already follow him. Do you plug your personal page too that has more pictures of your personal mini or no?
Yeah, I didn't
to you,
used to. I used to like try and remain incognito, but I think it's important that people know that I'm not just a photographer. That I do build these machines as well, and that is it's not a common crossover. You know, there's a lot of people that do the photography side of things. They don't necessarily always build their own cars, and it's taken me a while to realise that. So if you see pictures of this, on the media side, it'll be linked back to my personal page as well. But the mini is slowly taking over the pics of this.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I appreciate you being on. Amazing story. Love to have you on again to see the updates later on down the road. And I'll be following. Same with Shaun.
Oh yeah, hopefully I'll meet you up at a few shows as well next year, Matt.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
It'll be good.
Get together. But yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. It's the first one I've ever done. I have been invited to podcasts before, but I've shied away from them. So this one hit. This one hit home, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this one.
Hey, I love that, and I feel honored. It was amazing, great episode, and I can't wait to share it with the people. So, thank you for being on again. I appreciate it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
See you later, guys.